Hey, I want to talk to the over-apologizers in the group. If you, like me, tend to have a little bit of trouble taking up your space, if you feel like you're nervous to take up your space because maybe you don't deserve it, or you're afraid of being too much, or you're afraid of burdening somebody else, I want you to hear this. So, taking up your space, when I say taking up your space, I mean living in a way that feels good to you. You are doing the things you want, you are giving your opinion, you are asking for what you need, you're expressing your feelings, all of the things that we do as human beings, right? To have a life that actually suits us, that's actually connected to who we are. That's an important thing if you want to live a meaningful, interesting, enjoyable life. You've got to be willing to take up your space. You've got to be willing to be yourself on the outside, right? But a lot of us who maybe don't have the best self-esteems worry that if we are our full selves, we're gonna inconvenience somebody else. And we don't feel like we deserve to do that. We don't feel like we have the right to do that. We don't feel like we're allowed to take up our space the same way that other people are allowed to take up their space. So if that's the way that you think, I want to tell you about the hula hoop theory. This is a theory I came up with a couple years ago. I picture that everybody in the world is walking around with a hula hoop around their waist. And you know when you have a hula hoop around your waist and it's like close up on the back and you're holding it out here? So we're all walking around like this, holding our hula hoops around our waist. And you can imagine that if everybody in the world is walking around with their hula hoop out like this, we're gonna bump into each other every once in a while, inadvertently, right? It's kind of impossible, if you really imagine all of us like this, it's kind of impossible to not bump into each other when you're walking around. And that's the thing that I want to make sure you're hearing, is that when we are all taking up our space, it is impossible to not inadvertently bump into somebody else every once in a while. That is not a big deal. That is not you taking up too much space. That's not you being a problem. That's you being a human. And the person that you bumped into, their hula hoop person, they're also just being a human. If you can see it through this lens, it doesn't have to be a problem. You don't have to be a problem if you're walking down the street and you actually bump into somebody shoulder to shoulder. It doesn't have to be a, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, I did something bad, I'm a bad person. Or if you're driving on the road and you merge into somebody else's lane and you did it a little slower than you meant to or something, and the person who's now behind you has to slow down or whatever, you know, that they're being inconvenienced. Yes, that is true, but it's okay. Again, this is not you being a problem. This is not you taking up too much space. This is you being a human. This is you having a hula hoop, just like the rest of us have hula hoops. So if you can get into that kind of thinking, if you can appreciate that bumping into each other is not a problem, it's just kind of a fact of life, then you don't have to feel so bad about yourself, and you can start actually taking up your space and feeling better about yourself and your life.